Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Kuch Show. This is going to be a special presentation as we take a deep dive into one of Marvel Rivals' first maps, Yggdrasill Path. This is a new series that I want to try out, so the tone is going to be a little bit more dramatic, but all the fun nonetheless. If you want to see more videos like this, drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below sharing your thoughts, and with that out of the way, let's get right into it with Yggdrasill Path. Doctor Doom has an itch for power that he cannot seem to scratch. When attempting to master the grand multiverse using magic and science, he crosses paths with a version of himself from the year 2099. This conflict created the event known as the Time Stream Entanglement, where all of the multiverse collides with itself, merging with other realities in vastly different timelines. Within the timeline we are following, Asgard and Yggdrasil, also known as the World Tree, merge, creating Yggsgard. With that, a great amount of power surges through the tree as it produces Chronovium sap, in which Loki creates a sapper and uses the tree sap to see into the future, in which he observes all realities would fall unless he took the throne. He then casts Thor out and puts his father into Odin's sleep, with the help of Hela. Following that, a rebellion brews as our heroes attempt to escort Toothgrinder and Toothnasher, the Screaming Goats, carrying Stormbreaker, with their goal of bringing Stormbreaker to the roots of the Yggdrasil and using its remaining thunder to reshape and bring balance back to the Ten Realms. With the rebellion boiling over, Loki awaits upon his throne as the rebellion ensues. As you spawn in, the light shines across the many gold and green structures, giving the sense of grounded royalty. Not only the royal green from Loki's banners, but also the green nature of Yggsgard itself. Almost like the design is telling us that Loki is the ruler not just by taking over, but also because he is an adopted Odin's son. And without Thor, Loki would be next to take the throne. I speculate, as we look closely we see that Loki cherishes his home. We see this with a limited amount of banners as we get closer to the third checkpoint. On top of that, every destructible object eventually returns with this green transparent look, cluing that Loki wants to keep his home the way it was. We see this in the intro cinematic that the banners produced are merely projected and not real at all, almost teasing that he loves his family dearly but has been treated like an outcast for so long that this is his breaking point. Loki wants to be an Asgardian like his family, but is ultimately the black sheep and fakes his heritage, mirroring his powers of deception, only being fabricated projections deep down. Loki isn't someone that he wants to be, but he tries nonetheless to be loved, having respect for his home and family due to not changing the grand architecture of Yggsgard. One thing that I've never noticed about this map is that once you reach the second checkpoint, the skybox turns from daytime to a very beautiful midnight, really making all the greenery as well as the skybox pop and just really encapsulates all of the Yggdrasil roots and vines, giving a really pleasing visual. Yggdrasil Path holds a really good place in my heart. In fact, it was the first map that I ever played on once I first installed Marvel Rivals. Getting used to the environment, the unique cast of characters, and the pleasing visuals with a comic-like art style. I can remember getting really excited as I wanted to be the Hulk and chuck around my friend who was playing Wolverine. But how does Yggdrasil play overall? This is the make or break for. I mean, they nail the map aesthetic, don't get me wrong. It's easily as recognizable if you put two different maps together. Talking about you, Clintar. But how does it play? What's the layout like? How does it feel? If I'm playing a game, am I constantly being annoyed at the constant shifting of environment and destructible surfaces? I mean, the great Sun Tzu once said, if you know heaven and know earth, you may make your victory complete. Sun Tzu. Aw crap, it's Microsoft Paint. So the attackers start in the spawn room and their goal is to push Toothgrinder and Toothnasher along this line to make it to the first point where they get extra time, as well as a point added to the scoreboard on top. Now, some things to add, with every single one of these points, with 3 points being total, you usually want to be able to take 2 team fights in order to sustain the amount of time you'd be able to put towards the scoreboard. So if you're on defense, you usually have to win one team fight at this marker, and then finally a final fight here, and that's also adding a portal, so we could even see a potential third fight as well. Usually if you're on the defense, you want to be posted up along this corner right here, that way you have access to this cover, which you can dodge and weave back and forth. You also cut off the necessary, one of the necessary angles for the attackers to flank around you, being this way. The attackers having main, side 1, and then this side that goes through a long corridor and eventually makes its way up to here, the defensive high ground. Now, normally, the defense, you want to have some people on this high ground as well, because high ground is king. Some people right here as well. This is usually where your tanks are want to be, and then you can have someone just kind of turning around here and there, because usually no one really comes past this point because it's so linear and so audible that it really doesn't make a difference. But if you're on the defense, you want to be breaking this bridge because you don't want to give the attackers any high ground potential. But on top of that, if you, yes, you on the defense, want to be really scummy and want to win the game, well, what you do is you run goats. You run 3 tanks and 3 supports. Fun, right? And all you basically have to do is supports would sit back here in this little area where the tanks would usually be if you're running like a 2-2-2 composition. So supports would be right here, and the tanks, your primary goal on tank is just to hug this card. You don't have to get kills, you don't have to deal enough damage, you don't have to go for a 1v6 ultimate play. All you're doing is playing the time. And that is your whole and sole primary goal. Now, overall, it is really frustrating on the attacker side to really push this, especially if they're playing on goat, so that's where the other angles come in as well. But usually, you're not going to see tanks going on the far left or far right, right? You're going to see them down main. Au contraire, you can also run a dive here, especially with high mobility, to really close in and hone in on the attack here. Now, as much as having a single dive character on your team may be a liability, it can actually prove to be some usefulness, as it will absorb most of the enemy team's time, because this is the general area in which they're all going to be playing. Very clean and awesome explanation, thanks to future Kuch. Wait, would that be past? Editor, make the explanation go quicker. So basically what you want to do, you want to take a team fight here as okay, let's going to be moving down here if you're going to be on the defense, and then finally you're going to have another last point here, and if you can stall that long enough, you can eventually get a third fight with a portal as well. You want to be stalling for time on the card, so you want to be dying on the card as well. The attackers will have access to this high ground, these off angles, and even a reroute up to here as well, but the defense has a little ace up their sleeves. There's a particular window back here in which a dive or even ultimate play can occur as well. Some destructible high ground here, this corner that you usually want to see team fights on, and a very wide expansive high ground and exit back with a little health pack in the room to really secure and lock down this entire area, forcing the offense to pick different characters if they want to be able to challenge this high ground right here. You want to be on the attack, you're going to have 3 points of attack. You're going to have long entry, or sorry, main, then you're going to have the top, then you're going to have the side. Your off DPS or flex DPS, you want to be taking off angles to really target their supports. Mostly tanks, I mean, you know what to do, hold the line, and then supports, you want to be playing in some natural cover, so this would be a good spot, this corner would be a good spot, and etc. Thank you for this quick explanation. Back to you, future Kuch. Thank you, Kuch. Couldn't have said it better than myself. Now, finally, onto the third point. It's going to be a little bit chopped up because the bird's eye view is really cooked as there is a large tree sitting above it. Back at it at Krispy Kreme. So basically, we smiley face. Basically, to summarize, once it reaches the third checkpoint and the home stretch, it becomes very chaotic with very tight corridors, and basically all heck breaks loose as everyone unleashes their ultimate as well as their underwear because of how long convoy games last. But anyway, if I were to put all of the Marvel Rivals maps into a tier list, I would put Yggdrasill Path at a solid A tier. Very pleasing aesthetic and amazing visuals and great story details, a great way to kick off the entirety of the Marvel Rivals saga. However, the third point does prove to be a little bit chaotic, and some of the sightlines are really stretched out and really close quarters, especially when it leads up until the second checkpoint with that very tight dirt corridor, as well as a very claustrophobic third checkpoint, which really relies on ultimate timing and usage, and not a whole lot of power positions, so then it's kind of in the situation where it's like random bullcrap go. Thank you all so much for watching from start to finish. A lot of work was put into this, and a lot of passion, blood, sweat, and tears, and whatever else you can think of. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let me know in your thoughts down below. If you want to see more content, I am streaming on my Twitch, The Kuch Show, from 8 to 10 p.m. EST. Maybe not tonight. I've been really busy recently. Lols. With that out of the way, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.